Hi everyone. This is the audio that goes with the PowerPoint for our Unit 1 concepts. So this is really an introduction to projects and their management. So the way that we're going to work this is you'll always have kind of a conceptual part of project management, and then there'll be a part that you're working in MS Project, right? So this is the material about the concepts or the introduction to project. So project fundamentals, the purpose of project management and then is to plan, organize, and control the activities so that your project is completed as successfully as it's possible in spite of all difficulties and risks. Okay, so project management is the way that you manage all of the different pieces and parts of a project to achieve your goal. Okay, deliverables. So deliverables are the expected project benefits. So why are you doing this project? What is the end goal? That's what the deliverable is. You're going to have a successful marketing campaign. You're going to have the building built. You're going to manufacture that part. You're going to, whatever the goal is. So those deliverables, you want to know what that means. Stakeholders. So the stakeholders are any organization or people that have an interest in the project and the deliverables or the goal. So they could be the client, they could be vendors, they could be your employees. So it's all of the people that have some interest or stake in the project and making sure it's a success. That's why they're called stakeholders. All right, every significant project should begin with a definition. Okay, so you need to define what the project is about. And so the business case is the way to do that. So it defines the project, it forecasts what the investment is, and that investment could be time, it could be money, many different resources, right? So in this business case, in addition to defining what the project is about, you need to estimate or forecast what your investment is going to be. We're going to forecast the benefits, right? So, okay, we're putting this money and resources in to achieve this goal, and the reason is because it's going to benefit us in all of these different ways. And the business case should be approved before any money or other resources are committed. In other words, you need to have the definition and the forecast done. It needs to be approved by whoever is the entity that's going to approve that before you allocate any resources. All right, project characteristics. So the principal characteristics of any project is its novelty. That's an interesting way to put it, I think. But it really is a step into the unknown, and that comes with risks and uncertainty. Even if two projects are very similar, right? Maybe the goals are the same, the project's not going to be the same, right? Because there's going to be factors that are different between them. So no two projects are exactly alike. And even projects that you repeat, building a building, building a bridge, making a part, marketing campaign, whatever. Even repeated projects will differ in one or more commercial, administrative, or physical aspects from the prior project. So people could be different, where it's at, regulations of where the new place is, any of those things could be different. Okay. So there's really like four main project types, and one of them is kind of that civil engineering construction type of thing. And so it lumps in civil engineering, construction, petrochemical, mining, and quarrying projects, because those all have the same type of elements to them. So the work generally is on a site which is exposed to the outside elements. It's usually remote from the contractor's office. So there's external factors like the weather and those type of things that could affect these types of projects that maybe, in an IT project you wouldn't have, right? So there might be some specific things about these type of projects that are a little different. So these projects incur special risks and problems of organization and communication. So if you're working on these type of projects, then that's a big focus, because you are usually remote from where the work's going on. And so being sure to be able to communicate statuses and problems and those type of things is a big factor in these types of projects. Often requires massive capital investment, right? If you think about any kind of construction, just the materials and the equipment and specialized labor, it's a big investment, right? Requires rigorous management of progress, finance, and quality, right? We all want our bridges and our roads and our tunnels and all of those, which would be civil engineering type things, to have quality. So those are all very important aspects of these types of projects. Often the project has the participation of several contractors, which makes communication critical to success. Okay, so you have lots of different irons in the fire, so to speak. Okay, so that's one type of project. Another type would be a manufacturing project. And so those are projects for new products that you could have to do research and development. That could be one aspect, or to actually produce or manufacture product. You could have the manufacturing of the equipment that's going to make other parts, the tools, tool design, that type of thing. Ships, aircraft, land vehicles, any kind of item that has specially designed hardware. That's a huge class of project management. Manufacturing projects are often conducted in factories or other home-based environments where it's possible to exercise on-the-spot management. So usually you're located where this is, but it could be remote. And most of the time, things like weather don't affect this. So you don't have that external variable on. But there's other things like not getting material in and those type of things that could affect your project. So manufacturing project is the second kind. The third is management and business change projects. These are projects that happen when companies relocate, develop or introduce new IT or communication systems, prepare for trade exhibits, set up a training program or structure organization, plan an event, and on and on and on. So these are things that happen within a business and the management of the business, right? So oftentimes there is no tangible product like you would see in our first or second class, right? The outcome is not oftentimes something you can put your hand on and pick up like you could in our first two. The outcome here would be increase in business, better process, whatever the project is going to do. Okay, and then the fourth one is scientific research projects. And so these are pure scientific research. So not research to develop a product that's going to be marketed. This is actually just research. Pure research projects consume vast amount of money, okay? Last for years and either result in a very profitable discovery or they don't. And then you've spent a lot of money and time. If you think about like the drug industry, and the time span for them to research and develop a new medicine and test it and get all the way, and they can get all the way almost to the end, and then for some reason there's a bad side effect or whatever, and then all of that has been for naught. or they could be very, very profitable. Sometimes the intended outcomes are not realized, but unexpected benefits result. And so if we go back to the whole drug, pharmacy, pharmacological area, they may have started trying to get a medicine for one thing, and along the way found it wouldn't work for that, but because of some side effect or something else that's part of that drug, it's now could be used for a different class of things. There's a lot of things that through research have been, you think about your 3M sticky notes, right? That was a mistake, or that wasn't the goal of the research project. That was a very nice unexpected benefit for 3M. Research projects carry high risks. The goal is really to extend the boundaries of human knowledge, and objectives are usually difficult or impossible to define. It's very nebulous. Stage gating, okay, so that's a term you want to think about, and that requires the project sponsors to review at regular intervals or stages. You just don't hand out a bunch of money and say go research, and then you don't have stages where you have to have reports and see how the progress is going. Okay, we're not going to deal with this one, but it is important that you know it. Okay, people and organizations, customer and contractor. Many projects are carried out by a contractor for external organizations or the customer, right? The customer and contractor usually agree on terms, prices. That includes not only money, but time. Clouded for some management change projects where much of the work is conducted by employees of the organization itself, so internally. So that would be the organization is both the contractor and its own customer, so they're doing the project for themselves. But for clarity, contractor, we're going to talk about contractor in whoever carries out the project, and customer is the owner of the project, right? And we understand those could be two separate areas, or really it could be the same company if it's an internal project. But contractor is who's working on the project, customer is the owner of the project, who it's being done for. All right, project manager. These are usually imagined as a person, but it could be a company, an organization, a group of people. But most times it's usually one individual that can be identified as being the sole responsibility for the success of the project. Whether that's really accurate or not, usually there's one person who's the project manager. Successful project managers are capable of choosing and using techniques that suit the project, right? So they have to be able to analyze what the environment is, what the goals are, what tools are available, and use techniques that fit that environment. So embodies a whole framework of logical planning and decisions, perceptiveness, liberal application of common sense, appropriate organization, effective commercial and financial management, painstaking attention to documentation, and the ability to lead and motivate people. Those are some of the things that make a very successful project manager. All right, so the active part of a project life cycle, and we usually just think of really this, but we want to have these boxes outside of the loop of the actual project, and that is the initial concept or need is defined, right? So that's outside of this loop. But once we have that defined, we have that business case, it's approved, then we're going to move into here. So the customer or the owner is the person that you're trying to meet their goals based on what this need is. Sales and engineering, design, schedule, plan and schedule. This is a huge part. Purchase goods and service. This can certainly affect. And notice in every one of these, the project manager is the central person. And there's feedback going back and forth to each part of this entity, right? So they have to be involved at every step. So purchase goods and services, then you can make or build. From there, you test and commission, and then you give it to the customer. And at any point of here, you may have to back up because something isn't right, or doesn't meet the expectation of the owner. Once you get a successful outcome, you're going to use it, and then at some point it's going to be disposed, right? And we don't often think of that, but that is actually part of the cycle where you can use that, and it could be a long time. So, you think about a bridge or a road. I mean, bridges last, if they're done correctly, last a very long time, but at some point they have to be redone, right? So everything has an end point. Some can be shorter than others depending on what it is. All right, so become familiar with this project life cycle. And here is a Gantt chart of a typical life cycle of a large project, right? And so right here were these little diamonds. These are like milestones. So concept, feasibility, like can we do it? Case, business case, we talked about that. Risk analysis, public inquiry, authorization. Boom. Now we're going to organize, plan, design. And look, starting at this gray part, this is the project management phase. Look at all this activity that happens. Remember, when we go back, that we have to get that business case done and the approval before we even start project management. So this really shows you that lead up into the project management. You get this authorization and boom, now we can start organizing, planning, designing, procuring, fulfilling, testing, and then hand over to the owner. And then here's the lifespan. Notice it's outside of project management, and then eventual disposal. And this could be, I don't know, could be lots of time. So look at that. Okay, factors relevant to success or failure. The success of the contractor and the project manager will usually be judged according to how well they achieve three primary objectives. Did the project get completed, and was it completed within the approved cost budget? Okay, that's a big one. Did it finish on time? So first one, it's done within the budget. 2, it's done within the time. And 3, is the outcome a good performance? All right, so did it satisfy the specification and deliver what the intended benefit is? So these are the main checkpoints for whether or not a project was a success. Done within budget, finish on time, did what it was supposed to do. Okay. All right, so there's, in addition to those big 3, there's other objectives that are smaller, and maybe not all projects meet these, but good project definition, sound business case at the outset. So you could still have those 3 outcomes and maybe not have a good project definition at the beginning, but maybe you have a really good project manager and they could overcome it. Appropriate choice of project strategy, strong support from higher management, sufficient funding and other resources, sufficient resources, firm control of any changes to the authorized project, right? Because those changes along the way can really have setbacks. So you really have to manage those changes. And some changes are, you have to, but being able to control that is or not control it can be a point of success or failure of the project. Technical competence, sound quality culture throughout the organization, suitable to the organization structure, appropriate regard for health and safety, right? Good project communication, well-motivated staff, and quick and fair resolution of conflict. Those are all like kind of sub points to whether or not something was a success, because you could have had the first 3 and then everybody in the company is just really unhappy. So yes, that project succeeded, but what underlying failures were happened because of other factors. Okay, so this is a big one, the triangle of objectives. So we have performance and scope, time, and cost. And so this triangle is attributed to Dr. Martin Barnes. So performance and scope. Okay, so if you think about the three things that have you achieve, we met the goal, right? So that's this performance and scope. We did it on time, and we did it within cost. So if any of these are out of alignment, then you're not going to get this triangle. Oh, I forgot to change the thing. I'm so sorry. Let me go fix that. So sorry. Definition of quality. Service or project that is fit for the purpose it was intended, right? So that is the definition of quality, is that it fits the purpose for what it was supposed to be done. No project manager should ever contemplate a result that is not fit for the purpose. Therefore, downgrading quality is not ever an option. That's why performance is placed at the corner of the triangle objectives rather than quality. Okay. Example between quality and specification. Oh, I erased that. So suppose that the initial estimate for a new building are too high and that construction costs have to be reduced, right? One option might be to build on a relatively simple foundation instead of using a deep sunk piles, which could save thousands of dollars. But if the ground condition demands piling for the building to be safe, that cost-saving option is ruled out on the grounds of reliability and safety. It would compromise quality and therefore is not a viable option. That building would not be fit for its intended purpose. However, suppose that the same developer reviews the specification for interior finishes and finds that marble floors could be replaced with carpeting for a substantial cost savings. The floor would still be serviceable and still fit for its purpose. The carpeting, however, would be an option that would not compromise quality. So quality has not been changed, but the specification has, right? So that's why you need, the project manager needs to weigh whether or not this change in a specification will have any outcome on quality, because we know downgrading quality is never an option. Okay. Time-cost relationship. So there's a direct and important relationship between time and money. If a project runs late, its original cost estimates are almost certain to be overspent. Cost rises for a number of reasons. Project delays, so those could be effect on direct costs or effects on indirect or overhead costs. Costs of financing, cost penalties, the total cost effect of project delays, right? Okay. Perception of project success or failure beyond the three primary objectives. Usually more than two stakeholders, right? So you need to identify and rank the other stakeholders, and is their perception that the project succeeded or failed. So customer or client, contractors, investors, others. All right. So there needs to be a discussion within the organization about who those people are, and make sure to have those people addressed and in the loop. Benefit realization. So assessing benefits and benefit realizations should start during the early project definition and define benchmarks that can be included in the business plan. So throughout the project, so early in the project, you need to define some goal points or some set points that will be milestones that you can say, okay, this is the point. It could be time, it could be a point in the process. Okay, at this point now we're going to see where we are, and are we on track, or do things need to be adjusted? And that's it. So that is the narration for the first Unit 1. So good luck, and let's see here. If I look at real quick here. Maybe not quick. So The other thing that you want to look at is the Unit 1 terminology, and then there's a video on the MS Project side of this unit, and that's in your materials folder. All right, guys, thank you.